What's up, guys? Welcome to the weekly technicals for Sunday, May 26th, 2019. And we are currently looking at the economic calendar for the upcoming week. And if you look, we have a U.S. bank holiday on Monday, which is Memorial Day. And then we have a British pound bank holiday as well. So probably not too many opportunities for Monday, but typically we don't trade Mondays anyways. We want to wait for Tuesday through Thursday for any opportunities in the markets. And if you look on Tuesday, we have a few news releases coming out. So we have a 10 a.m. dollar index, and then later in the day for Asia session we have New Zealand dollar as well as Japanese yen and more New Zealand dollar. So we could see a pretty volatile day on Tuesday for New Zealand dollar. And then Wednesday we have Euro at 3 a.m. We've got a speaker. And then 10 a.m. we've got a rate announcement or rate statement for CAD, and then also the overnight rate. So we'll probably see a lot of volatility in dollar CAD on Wednesday for New York session, probably towards the later portion, around 10 to about 12 noon. And then for Asia session we have Australian dollar, 9:30 p.m. And then Thursday we've got Euro bank holiday and the Swissy bank holiday, so likely won't see anything too crazy on Thursday, at least in Euro. And then we've got dollar index and Canadian dollar for 8:30 a.m. and a little bit later as well we got a speaker, a FOMC speaker at 12 noon. And then way later in the day at 2 p.m. we've got a Canadian dollar speaker as well. So Wednesday and Thursday will probably be a pretty volatile days for dollar CAD, so we'll be focused on that. And then going into Friday, some more Canadian dollar and dollar index news. So really Tuesday through Friday we could see a lot of movement on dollar CAD this week, which is honestly what we've been expecting since it's been in such a consolidation for so long. So let's go ahead, we'll move over to the charts now. And this is the dollar index on a daily chart. And last week we did have a nice little run up here above the 98.30 level. So the high comes in here at 98.32, and then on Thursday we form the high at 98.37. So about a 5 pip run above the buy stops here. And then we pretty much rejected and traded lower. So I don't think that the bullish move on dollar index is over, because if you look right now, we're really just in a consolidation, kind of bouncing back and forth. And what I'm looking at is we have these two down candles, which is an ICT bullish order block on the daily chart. And the open of this candle comes in at 97.58, so pretty much right around that 97.50 level. And we could see some support come in on dollar index here and then start trading higher. Now, if we start trading through this ICT bullish order block and we sweep the low down here at 97 big figure, in that scenario, we'll probably run the liquidity below 96.75, 97, 96.80. And then if we get continuation from there, which if we get below this low, it's more than likely that we're going to run these equal lows down here at 95.80. So at that point, I'll more than likely move to a bearish stance on dollar index. But right now, I'm still bullish because we are respecting bullish market structure. And at the end of the day, we've really only left equal highs here. So even though it pushed up above it, it's still relatively equal highs. And we're trading within a daily ICT bullish order block here. So we could easily see the market gain some more strength to the upside and start turning around and going up into that 98.50 and maybe even the 99 big figure. And if we get that, we'll probably see a pretty nice expansion on the upside on dollar CAD as well, on the back of all those news releases coming out this week as well. So we'll touch on that when we get to that pair. But overall for dollar index, still looking for bullish price action to the upside, especially coming off of this daily order block here. But again, if we do get below that and we start trading down into the 97.20s, even 97 big figure down here, we sweep below this low and say we close below it, at that point we'll probably start trading lower into the 96.80 level here, 96.75, and then get a continuation down into the 95.80s. So only if we go below this low will I be switching my idea on dollar index. But right now, again, as I mentioned, I'm still bullish until it proves to me otherwise that it wants to go lower, and that would be a move below this low here at 97 big figure. As long as we're above that, I'm still looking for higher prices on dollar index. All right, if we move to euro dollar now, and we can actually scroll out, you guys can see, if we go back, so we've still been working these equal lows here. We still have an ICT bullish order block resting at the 1.1030 level, and we've got relative equal lows that we left here. So we did trade below the 111.10 level, and the low actually formed at 111.07, so traded about 3 pips below it. To me, I still see this as equal lows, and personally I still see them wanting to take this thing lower. I could be wrong, but overall it does still look like they want to take the liquidity below here, because we still have that ICT bullish order block resting down at the 1.1030 level, and personally I just think that's where they're going to want to take this thing on the downside. But overall, for a daily chart, we're still in a consolidation. If they do for some reason start taking it higher, then we have a relative triple top here, this high, and this high. I can actually draw it out for you guys. So you can see that we've got some buy side liquidity resting above here, this triple top, and then we've got an ICT bearish order block here as well. So 1.1280, the market could trade up into that, find some resistance, and start selling off. So if we do continue on the upside, all I'm really looking for on a minimum basis for my targets on the upside would be 1.1260 to 1.1280. Nothing really other than that. So I would like to see resistance come in at 1.1280 and start selling off. But it would be even better if we could just start selling off from where we're at now. So ideally, when the market opens up a bit later today, I'd like to see them gap down and then start just consecutively trading lower on euro dollar. And I'd like to see this thing catch up to what cable has done, British pound. And if that's the case, we still have a good bit of downside on euro dollar to go. So if we do, for whatever reason, trade higher, then again, the targets are 1260 to 1280. But overall, I'm looking for continued weaker prices with the expectations of dollar index trading higher. So for euro dollar, I'll be looking for continued weakness. If we get above 1280, so say we close above 1280 on a daily candle, then we have these relative equal highs here at 1320, and then we've got some buy side liquidity resting above 1450. So we could take it above those levels if we get above 1280. But as long as we remain below 1280, I'm still looking for continued weakness on euro dollar. Alright, now looking at British pound, this has been the one here that's really been moving. So we've had a nice sell-off really since the start of May. So May 3rd all the way down until May 23rd. So about 20 days of just continuous selling for British pound. And we have this low in here, well, the bodies of the candle at 26 big figure. We just failed to get below that. So the low actually came in at 26.05, just 5 pips shy of that level. Since we didn't break below there, what I'm thinking is we may see a little bit of a pop up on the upside for British pound. So not an overall change in market structure, for example. We're still bearish, but we could see a short-term little bounce up into the 28.90 level, which if you look at it, it's previous support now broken through, should act as resistance when we get back up to that level. And then if we can show bearish price action off the level, so as I always talk about, we're looking for a high, then we're looking for a lower high, then we're looking for a lower low, right? And this can be on the hourly or even the 15-minute time frame. And then we'll look for a trade back up into that level here. This will be the opportunity for us to go short. So we're not trying to short it as soon as it touches the level. We want to wait for the confirmation, or at least that's how I trade. So this would be the opportunity here that we would go short at, where the little blue box is. Because at that point, we've already touched the level, we've reacted off of it, we've shown resistance, we've came back up, we've failed to make a higher high, sold off again, we made a lower low, confirming bearish market structure. Then as we trade back up into this level, which will likely be an ICT bearish order block, right around that, it doesn't have to be these precise levels, but say it's around 28.20, then we can look for a sell opportunity to take us below Thursday's low, which comes in again at 26.05, but ideally we have the 26 big figure resting below us, and then that would provide us roughly about 200 pips. So that'd be a nice sell setup, but in order for that to happen, we have to trade up here first, then confirm that we're reacting bearish off that level, then we can short it. But I'm not really looking to short this market right now, just because we're so low. We've already had such a nice bearish reaction. I'm not necessarily looking to short it yet. But if we can trade up, and for example, say dollar index may continue to consolidate, or say dollar index breaks below that bullish order block we were talking about, then if that's the case, we'll likely see British pound rally higher, and then maybe we could buy it up into the 28.90 level and then wait for the confirmation, and then we could turn around and sell it targeting 26 big figure. So I'm not looking to specifically do anything in this market yet. I really have some things that I'm waiting for to unfold. So far for the week, my eye is on dollar CAD and possibly euro dollar, but that's going to be my primary focus for this week. So we'll get to those here in just a second. But overall for British pound, watch the 27.70 to 27.80 level. And if we get above that, we're likely going into the 28.90s, maybe 29 big figure with a spike through it. So that's what I'll be watching on the upside. And again, if we can close, if we remain below those levels, then we'll be looking for a continuation below the 26 big figure. And then we'll likely see another run down into the 25s and possibly even lower from there. So that's what I'll be looking at for cable. Again, as I mentioned, this isn't the primary focus for me this week. With such a bearish movement, I'm really expecting some sort of a retracement in here. Even if you take your fib, so if you take your fib and you draw it from the high down here down to the low, you can see that the 28.90 level overlaps perfectly with the 50% level. So that's another reason that I'm kind of paying attention to that level, because we could come back up, kind of rebalance price around there, and then start selling off. We could even trade higher than the 29 big figure level up into the optimal trade entry levels around 61.8 to 79%. But again, that's really contingent on what happens at the 29 big figure. So overall, right now, just looking to see if we can trade up into 29 big figure, 28.90. If we get a reaction there, confirm bearish price action, then I'll be looking for continued shorts on British pound. But as of right now, as I mentioned, staying kind of on the sidelines, wait until I have some more information with that. Now, if you bring that in with basically the analysis we just did on euro dollar and British pound, and then you look at euro GBP, Euro GBP has seen a continuous run to the upside. We've now cleared out the liquidity resting above here. Once we closed above it, came back down, retested, then we went even higher, trading above the liquidity here. So here's the thing. If this starts selling off from here, so say we reject this high and we start selling off, say we come back down into the 86.80s, at that point, that's going to allow British pound to have some strength, and that's going to cause euro dollar to continue selling off. So notice what's happened previously up until this point. We've had euro dollar failing to really go lower, right, in any type of large range capacity. But British pound has been continuously trading lower, with euro GBP trading higher, which means stronger euro, weaker British pound. So we're seeing weakness on British pound. We're seeing relative consolidation in euro dollar. But if this starts falling, then we'll likely see British pound move into a consolidation, which will allow them to trade up into the 29 big figure level, and that will likely cause euro dollar to see some weakness, and then we'll likely get down into the 1.11s or maybe even the 1.10s as we've been looking for. So that's why I look at euro GBP, because it really provides the overall context of what those other two markets are doing. Now, since we've traded above here, we failed to close above it. I'm really interested to see if this is going to be a swing high, and then we get the next daily candle closing bearish. If that's the case, then we're likely going to trade lower into the 86.80s, maybe even 87 big figure, right? That's going to be the downside objectives, and then that will likely cause British pound to rally higher and euro to probably trade lower as well. All right, now lastly, if we cover dollar CAD, so you guys can clearly see, I mean, this is a daily chart on dollar CAD, and you can pretty much see we've done nothing, right? We've continued to stay in this consolidation. Now, when we bring in the economic calendar, which we looked at the beginning of this video, you guys know that we have a lot of Canadian dollar and US dollar news events this week. So if dollar remains bullish, then we could easily see this thing run up into the 35.60s, where we've been looking for, because we have this ICT bearish order block, along with a bunch of buy side liquidity resting above the 35.20 level. We've kept trying to get above that level and we've kept failing. But we're still working off this daily ICT bullish order block. So we're still maintaining bullish market structure. We're just in a consolidation. So retail is going to be looking at this. They're going to see all these wicks in here and they're selling it. They're still selling this market. So they're building the idea for a short dollar CAD. But I think that we're going to get a reaction off of here and start trading higher. And then if you zoom in even closer, we have these two down candles before this big up move. So we have an ICT bullish order block here. We've closed Friday right in the ICT bullish order block. So Sunday, today, we could easily see a gap up on dollar CAD and then just start continuously trading above 35 big figure, 35.20, 35.50, and then potentially the target, overall target I'm looking for is 35.50 to 35.70. So 35.50 comes in here, and then 35.70 is just slightly above, almost in line perfectly with the open of this candle. So the open of this candle comes in at 35.73. So if you round it down to 35.70, it's only 3 pips. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of an upside target, 35.50 to 35.70. Now from where we're at now, that's over 100 pips. Not saying that we're going to see 100 pips in dollar CAD this week. We easily could with the amount of news events that we have. So if we can have a setup between really late Monday to Tuesday, that's the ideal kind of scenario I'm looking for. I'd like to see it maintain kind of in this range going into Tuesday, and then provide me a buy setup on Tuesday, and then I can just hold it and capitalize on the news events for Wednesday and Thursday and even Friday with dollar CAD, and hold on to it to see if we can get up into the 35.50s, 35.70s. If that's the case, I'll share the results of the trade with you guys. Those of you in the premium group, obviously you'll get the signal and you'll get the results as well. But for those of you that watch on YouTube, I'll be sure to record the trade as well, and I'll basically share that with you guys so you can kind of see. We're talking about it beforehand here, and then if it unfolds as I expected or as I expect, then I'll kind of go over in next week's analysis. I'll cover the review of where I took my long at, where my stop loss was, where my targets were, which you guys already know my targets. It's 35.50 to 35.70. I'm not looking for anything more than that. And obviously I'm going to clear some partial profits off at 35.20, which is above this daily buy side liquidity, because we don't have to close above that. We can easily wick above it, reject, and then trade lower. So if that's the case, then that's why I lock in partial profits. So I'll update you guys on that next week. But again, for dollar CAD, still looking for overall higher prices. And this week, I think we'll get that. Last week we had a nice little pop up. But overall, I think this week will be the week that we're going to get above the buy side liquidity at 35.20, which in itself is already 70, 80 pips, right? If we get a continuation above that, then we have an additional 30 to 50 pips on top of just the move above here. So I'll take partials above here, and then I'll close the remainder of the position at 35.50 to 35.70. It depends on what price action looks like around those levels. All right. So that is it for today's weekly technicals. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment below this video, and I will talk with you guys next week in the weekly technicals again, and have a good rest of your long weekend, and I'll talk with you guys on Sunday next week.